What's up guys, welcome back to another video yet today. We are playing some VR for my awesome VR headset. So people, without further ado, oh brother. Now people,
Princess Cruises, a world of endless possibilities.
if you would like to have another video on this,
it will destination. To immerse in the vibrant colours and captivating cultures, and savor the distinctive flavours behind every dish, to create truly enriching memories that last a lifetime. This is more than a cruise. This is Princess Cruises.
With extra savings in the DFS winter sale, let your bum find its thing. Lounge on the leather Harley for $1199. Recline with a new comfort. Or try the cozy use of 4 years interest-free credit. But hurry, these extra savings end soon at DFS.
Build wealth with Trading 212, the all-in-one app to invest, save, and spend.
I could do a new
Invest
game.
in stocks and
I want to try a new game.
ETFs with zero commission. Trade anytime with 24-hour US market access. Earn 3.6% interest with our Cash ISA. Spend like an investor with our free debit card and get 1.5% cash back. Get the Trading 212 and start building wealth today.
Oh my god, it's blurry. Oh, the water!
Book now with just a £60 deposit per person. Jetsy Holidays. Average holidays you can trust and commercial projected. That's the Brooklyn clearing up the chaos after Storm Chandra. Flights cancelled, schools closed, and more than 90 flood alerts in place, with a severe risk of danger to life in Dorset after torrential rain inundated already sick.
My house is completely flooded on the ground floor. Everything is completely damaged. Kitchen, ground floor, all floor.
And this is the third named storm this month, and now it looks set for ice with another cold snap on its way. And the very latest from around the country, also tonight. Another day, another U-turn, now a discount on business rates for pubs in England under pressure from the hospitality industry. But is this enough to save struggling venues? I was talking to him. He was like my best friend as well. The 7, failure fueled by homophobia. Now the family of the university fresher found dead in London believe prejudiced police never properly investigated and have a special report. Menopause and mental decline. The new research that likens midlife loss of grey matter to Alzheimer's. Can HRT help to stop the decline? And a bumper crop of British BAFTA nominations.
I forgot how scary that was, bro.
this is the ONTV company news with Maria Nightingale. Good evening. Storm Chandra battered parts of the UK today with torrential rain, snow and strong winds. Like more than 90 flood alerts are in place across England, including one severe danger to life warning in Dorset, as rain fell on already saturated ground. A gust of 81 miles per hour was recorded in County Down. Many schools across Northern Ireland were closed and flights across the UK have been disrupted. And when the storm passes, forecasters have issued warnings for ice in large parts of the country. Well, in a moment, we will have the latest live from Belfast and the southwest of England, some of the worst affected areas. But first, Layla Hayes reports on the third major storm to hit the UK this month. Cars submerged and homes flooded. This is Devon after being hammered by another storm. In Axminster, this van and its driver had to be rescued.
I'm shaking because I thought I was going to break down, halfway through that. There's about 100 yards of just pure deep water.
This was the River Otter, which reached its highest level ever recorded. And villages, including Tipton St John, saw schools closed and houses flooded.
I've not lived here that long, so to see it actually flood like this and to hear the neighbours say that this is the worst it's ever flooded. They've seen it flood before, they've seen the cars get stranded, but to see the school under water and to see so many cars affected, it's just such a shame to see the smile on their faces.
It was like flooded up to where we are stood now, and it was just all the water was rushing down the roads and all the farms.
I'm sorry. Don't kill me.
I haven't ever seen a flood this big, but it just looked weird.
This was the nearby village of Ottery St Mary, where strong winds also brought this tree down. Thankfully, no one was injured. In neighbouring Somerset, flooding also closed roads. On this street in Taunton, residents were woken at 5 o'clock this morning to water gushing into their homes.
My house is completely flooded, all ground floor. Everything is completely damaged. Kitchen, ground floor, all flooded, to be honest. I feel terrible because I tried cleaning them. I really tried. I can't do it because water coming from underneath the house.
In Cornwall, the sandbags were down. It did little to protect this street in
I'm on the
Holston.
water, aren't I?
I'm alright at the minute because my house hasn't flooded yet, but obviously the neighbours is flooding and mine's probably another 50 mil away and it's still rising and just no one's come to help.
This is the third major storm to hit the UK so far this year, and many fear it won't be the last. Layla Hayes, ITV News.
Oh my
Let's get the latest picture now from Jordan Moore in Belfast and Karen Bell in Somerset. Turning to you, Karen, first.
Yeah, Mary, as we've just been hearing, it's been a rotten day for so many residents in the southwest of England, flooding in Cornwall, through to Devon, up to where I am in Somerset, and we've still got a danger to life flood warning in place for the Upper Froom River near Dorchester. I am on the Somerset levels. Now, if you're not familiar with them, it's basically like a miniature Netherlands, extremely flat with large canal-like draining channels running through them. Behind me is a pumping station, one of several, whose job it is to pump the water out of the channels and into the nearby river. And you can see staff from the Environment Agency are working through the hours of darkness now to increase the capacity of this pumping station. This region was devastated by floods in 2014. At this time of year in particular, it is totally reliant on mechanisms like this to stay dry-ish. So for residents here, what's going on now is probably deeply unsettling. It shows just how vulnerable the Somerset levels are, particularly because more rain is forecast this week.
I think it's safe to say it's not been quite as bad in Northern Ireland, but it's still been a very wet and a very windy day. How wet and how windy? Well, in Catesbridge in County Down, it recorded its wettest ever day with almost 10 centimetres of rain falling in a 24-hour period. And as you've heard, there have been gusts on the east coast of Northern Ireland of up to 81 miles an hour. That's caused widespread disruption with the M1, one of the busiest roads in and out of Belfast in Northern Ireland, being closed for a time earlier today. It has since however reopened, but that was due to a lot of flooding which caused a lot of disruption on the roads this morning, and fallen trees and localised flooding has caused delays, with one woman being taken to hospital in Fermanagh after a tree fell in her car. There were a number of ferry services to Scotland from Belfast and Larne that were cancelled today, and Belfast City Airport had no flights flying up until 2 p.m, and 300 schools were closed across Northern Ireland. But I think it's important to say that, like that motorway being reopened, ferry services are due to resume later. There's also been a resumption of those flights at Belfast City Airport, and debris is starting to be cleared as the storm seems to pass. But it's important to note we're not out of the woods just yet. 10,000 people this morning were left without power across Northern Ireland. That was about 4,000 by lunchtime. However, there will still be people tonight who are going home without any power in their homes. There is still a yellow weather warning in place for snow, or for wind and for rain up until midnight tonight, and there is an ice warning in place from 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Okay, Jordan Moore from Belfast and Karen Bowen Sunset. Thank you all. Storm Chandra also caused disruption across much of the Republic of Ireland. Motorists stranded in their cars in Dublin had to be rescued from floodwaters, and at least 30,000 people were left without electricity. The Irish Met Office says the worst of the storm is not over and more flooding is likely in the coming days. Moving on from the weather now, the government has announced a U-turn on another budget measure and given pubs and music venues in England a discount on business rate bills. It follows a huge backlash from the hospitality industry, which warned of mass closures and job losses. Ministers say the financial support is worth more than £1,500 a year for the average pub. Hospitality bosses welcomed the move, but they want it extended to other businesses too. Here's our political correspondent, Harry Horton.
The pints were flowing at this North Yorkshire pub this afternoon, but despite the busy trade, profit margins are tight. And the landlady here says today's extra government help will only go so far.
Hello. We're not asking for special measures. We just want to pay the right amount of tax. That's, we need to look at the duty. We've just had an increase. We need to look at wages, and we need to look at the VAT. We still pay the highest VAT in the European countries in hospitality, and it's huge.
In last year's budget, the government announced changes to business rates in England and offered more than £4 billion of support to soften the blow. But it wasn't enough. Ministers now say pubs and music venues will get extra support, including a 15% discount on business rates until 2028, costing the Treasury £80 million in year one. The U-turn follows a high-profile Christmas campaign from pubs, but opposition MPs say it's not enough.
After weeks of telling our local pubs that help was on the way, this is all they get. A temporary sticking plaster that will only delay the pain for a few, while thousands of businesses despair as their bills skyrocket.
Gin was the drink of choice for the Chancellor today, as she defended her decision to change course.
There is an increasing need to build our security and resilience at home, whilst at the same time turbulence that is causing uncertainty around trade. So we did have to raise money. We listen, though, when people raise concerns, and we look at the detail of that and try to make sure we get it right.
Hospitality bosses want to see help extended beyond just pubs.
This is a problem across hospitality. People are worried about viability of businesses. A third of hospitality businesses are operating at or below break even. So we need to make sure that we've got an injection of cash and support for all of those valuable community assets, neighbourhood restaurants, guest houses, bed and breakfasts, pubs.
Today's support means it won't be last orders for this pub, but calls for more help from other businesses are well underway. Well, evidence of the pressure facing pubs and bars today as the Revolution chain announced more than 500 job losses as 21 venues will close across the UK. The Chancellor was arguing today that pubs are a unique community asset. That's why they're getting the support. But there were calls not just from the hospitality sector, but from Labour MPs too, to see that support extended to hotels and cafes as well.
Harry Horton in Westminster, thank you. And rising costs aren't the only problem facing publicans. Almost a quarter of adults in England do not drink alcohol at all. And it's young people leading the charge. New figures show that the number of people who haven't had a drink in the past 12 months has gone up by 5% since 2022, with the highest proportion among those aged 16 to 24. Alcohol-free and low-alcohol drinks continue to rise in popularity. Andy Burnham says it is simply untrue to say he had been told he would be blocked from standing in the by-election for Gorton and Denton. The Manchester Mayor was reacting to claims that he had been warned against trying to get selected, but went ahead anyway.
Yeah.
It is simply untrue to say that I was told that I would be blocked.
Yeah, what?
I can't say any more than that. I went through the whole weekend having conversations with people in number 10, people in senior positions of the party, to discuss the pros and cons, and that's all I can say. The NEC is meant to be an independent body, so how could somebody say that it's definitely going to be blocked if they are an independent body? So it doesn't stack up what they are saying.
Well, our political editor Robert Peston is at Westminster. This is rumbling on, Robert, isn't it? How much is it widening divisions within the Labour Party?
It's only in case you drop it.
So this is a slightly, should we say, slightly surreal story for me, because there you've got a plainly emotional Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, saying that when he was having conversations with people in Downing Street before the NEC committee blocked his application to run in the by-election, that nobody told him that he was definitely going to be ruled out. And the reason that he's saying that is because I reported this morning that a source very close to the Prime Minister had told me that Burnham had been informed that he was highly unlikely to be approved. And, you know, given the nature of the person who told me, obviously, I was going to report that. Number 10's official spokesman, this is where, you know, it honestly gets bizarre, has also put out a statement agreeing with Andy Burnham that nobody at number 10 gave that message to Burnham, which is obviously not precisely what I said in my report. But the background to all of this is that there are plenty of Labour MPs who are very unhappy that Burnham has been blocked. They wanted to see him in the House of Commons. They are upset that the Prime Minister sees Burnham as sort of such a threat to his leadership. And there are two groups of MPs now who've written to the NEC asking them to rethink. There's one letter signed by about 50 left and soft left MPs asking the NEC to rethink. And then there is the Tribune group, more than 100 MPs, who have also written a similar letter saying they're very disappointed that Burnham has been blocked. I don't think the Prime Minister is going to change his mind on all of this. But if that by-election in Gorton is lost, people will say this was because Burnham wasn't allowed to stand. And at that point, the Prime Minister's judgment will be massively in question again.
Okay, Robert Peston in Westminster, thank you. Now, leaseholders in England and Wales are set to benefit from reforms which will see ground rents capped at £250 a year. It could save some people thousands of pounds. Now, a leaseholder is somebody who owns a property within a building for a fixed period. A freeholder owns the building itself and the land on which it is built. Leaseholders pay an annual fee to the freeholder called a ground rent, which can become increasingly expensive with inflation. Well, the government says it's going to cap this fee at £250 and aim to reduce it effectively to nothing by 2068. It has also announced plans to ban the sale of all new leaseholds. At the Residential Freehold Association, they said the plans are wholly unjustified and warned about the impact on the UK's reputation for investors. Well, Elliot Pitt is here with more on this. So who is this going to benefit the most, Ellie?
Mary, about 1 million leaseholders in the UK at the moment are set to benefit from this cap. At the moment, if they pay more than £250 on that ground rent, essentially, as you say, the land that the building or flat is built on is reducing after a 40-year period to nothing called a peppercorn. Buyers of new flats are also set to benefit from this because the concept of leaseholds is being banned and scrapped. Instead, it's going to be what's called a common hold, where each owner of each property owns a share of the whole building. And then current leaseholders, existing leaseholders, will also benefit because if they can buy out their freeholder, they'll be able to much more easily under the government's new plans to get greater power and ownership over their property that they live in. But there is some serious frustration amongst campaigners for leaseholders.
Labour in opposition said that they wanted to reduce these money-for-nothing fees to peppercorn, which is zero financial value. And now in power, they're protecting ground rent by capping it at £250.
There's also been fierce opposition from freeholders who have been enjoying that sort of steady, passive income of ground rents. Today, the Residential Freehold Association called the government's plans a wholly unjustified interference with existing property rights, which, if enacted, would seriously damage investor confidence in the UK housing market. The Prime Minister says that his government is delivering on its promises to homeowners, but leaseholders will still have to wait until 2028 for this kind of
Okay, Ellie Pitt, thank you. We're sticking with Matters Financial, and Martin Lewis is preparing for his Money Show Live, which follows the evening news at 7:15. So, Martin, what have you got lined up tonight?
Well, we're talking tonight all about car and home insurance because millions of people are overpaying. Just take a look at this. Here's the graph of what's been happening to prices. They've come down over the last couple of years. We've all been programmed that they go up, and many people are simply accepting a renewal of 5 or 10% increase.